Good afternoon and welcome to the October 31st spooky Halloween edition of the Marks Group GoldMine Tips and Tricks webinar. We put on these tips and tricks webinars once a month. You're always welcome to visit our tips and tricks from ages past by heading on over to www.marksgroup.net. Let's see what we're talking about today. What do we got? Ooh, hello there, little camera guy. What do we got today? Today we're going to talk about, hopefully, not that, local versus global labels, by which I mean field labels. We can actually, you know how you can change the label on the field? We can actually change the label depending upon the database that we happen to be in. Neat trick, if it is a bit of a stupid pet trick. The default area code. This is something that I actually don't see in use a lot anymore because, the hometown that I grew up in had no area code. Well, we had an area code, but we never had to use it. Our phone numbers were 7 digits long. But nowadays, in my hometown area code, we have 3 area codes to deal with. So setting the default area code is not so much an issue nowadays, but I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do that because it does default itself to 310, which is somewhere in Colorado. Syncing the search center sounds fancy, is really kind of dumb. All I'm talking about here is syncing the record view with the row in the search center. I'm going to show you how to do that, and it's actually more important to know how to set that back on if you get it turned off. I feel like I'm looking at a watercolor here. Oh, that's awful. Okay. Sorry guys, just bear with me here. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump right into some good old GoldMine. And we're going to look at local versus global labels. Now, what do I mean? Well, obviously a field label is going to be this thing right here, like the word company, the word contact, the word department or dept, the word address. Those are all field labels. Also, did you know that you can quickly go to the search center just by double-clicking the field label of the field you'd like to search by? For example, if I wanted to search by source, I could simply double-click on the word source here, right on the record. Wrong screen, Justin. Wow, that's never happened before. And now I'm automatically searching based upon source. This works for any field, virtually any field on the contact record. So if I wanted to search by account manager, I can do so very easily. Ooh, look like there's a little weirdness going on there. Not sure what's up with that. Or industry, so on and so forth. But we're talking about field labels. How do we edit field labels? How do we do that thing? Easy. We're going to right-click on any field label, and what we're after actually is the properties. Now, you won't be able to do this unless you have master rights or equivalent. Now, where the local versus global labels really typically come into play is with your key fields. And these would be these fields right here. These fields, they're called keys 1 through 5, and that is because back in ancient times, before hard drives were fast and space was cheap, we had to worry about having only 5 indexed fields. Yeah, you heard me right. Only 5 indexed fields came with GoldMine, and they were called the keys to the kingdom, no doubt. So keys 1 through 5 were very important. And what we would often see is that between contact sets or between databases, we'd see a different usage for the keys. So, for example, in this database, my key 1, and we can see what field that is by right-clicking and selecting properties, thusly, as follows, and like so. We can see the name of the database right there. That's going to be our key 1. Now, if we wanted to change the field label, what we have to do is go to More Options. Aha, love it. And here we're going to set the field label. Okay, so here's our local and global label identifiers. So as you might imagine, the local label is what is going to be only in this database. The global label is what's going to be displayed if there isn't a local label defined. for the current contact set. Now the way you do this is you have to open the database you'd like to set the field label for. And once you do that, you go into here, you go into your field properties, into more options, and you set the local label thusly. So in this case, let's say my global label is going to be record type, but my local label for this database, for my, I believe I'm in the training database. Yes, I am. The training database. I want my label to be student type, let's say. You'll see here that now when I'm in this database, my label will read as student type. But if I open a different contact set, which I unfortunately can't do at the moment, it screws up the screen share, that label would revert back to record type or whatever the local label might happen to be for that database. You can do this with virtually, well, let me just check that out before I insert my own foot. Oh yeah, this can be done for any field on the record. I typically only see this used in the key fields, and that was only because the key fields were so precious. Nowadays, we can create, well, I'd like to say virtually, that's the third time this session, the word virtually came out there, just keep an account. There's a virtually unlimited amount of user-defined fields that we can create in GoldMine. So preserving the keys, and let me back up one more sec. Unlimited fields, and they're all infinitely searchable, so the keys aren't as important as they used to be. So what you might see in the, for example, the student database is you may see class type, number 2 pencil identifier. You know what? It's been a long time since I've been a student. Can you tell? And in the other database, you might have special fields for proposals, for proposal follow-ups, things like that. So you don't exactly see a lot of field usage overlap. But at any rate, that's how to do it. You right-click, you go to Properties, we go to More Options, and we set the local label. Don't screw with that down there. Don't change the name in the database. The field will stop working. GoldMine will really be unhappy with you. What else is there to play with in here? That's a damn fine question. What can we play with here and screw things up about? We go to the color. No one ever plays with these colors, and I wish they would. It's like one of the nicest things about GoldMine. So, all I'm doing here is I'm kind of filling time because the tips and tricks this month really aren't all that voluminous. So while we're here in our field properties, we may want to change the label color. Might want to make that red. This is easy enough. We can change the color here in the color tab of the label color and or the data color. The label color, which is the color I like to screw around with, right now it's showing as this gray. I go to my colors button. Oh, it looks familiar. I like a nice bright red, like my bow tie. There we go. You can see here that when I select that color, that all that's really doing is selecting expression 255. Seems that red is 255. Who knew? We go ahead and OK our way out. So we can see right there that we can change the field label to a color. You may say to yourself, this is not my Cadillac. But you may say to yourself, why do I care what the color is for a label? Because this is a nice way to indicate to your end users that the field is, say, required. Okay, so we got to have a student type for these people. We got to know what kind of student they are, which is not going to be customer. Oh, he's dead. It's terrible. Wile E. Coyote is dead. Go figure. We need to know who the students are, so we're going to change the label to red. So that will indicate to me as an end user that I should fill in that field. Now, of course, there's 1,000 different ways to force end users to fill that field. Not all of them lovely. When you start to force data entry, you better be damn sure that your pick lists are properly filled, that your end users understand what fields have to be filled, and they understand what values should go in those fields. In my humble experience, none of those things happen when fields are set to technically require data entry. I find that this is a better solution. So we tell the end user, hey, listen, guy. We want to take all the fields that have red labels, and that's the stuff we really want. So it's going to be like company and contact. Again, this is just a guideline. This is just something for the end user to eyeball. There we go. Very good. And then if you even want to get fancy, if they get the gist of the red labels, then you're going to want to unleash a second color, right? Just to kind of keep things really cool. So now we can say to them, well, listen, yeah, red is required, but now green is sort of required. Well, that's hard to read against a white background. I'm not sure I would pick that, actually. What would I pick against a white background? Blue, let's say. There we go. So you can say to your end users, red is required, blue would be really nice to have. Otherwise, don't sweat the small stuff. And again, why I would recommend requiring data entry this way is because technically you're requiring data entry, and I'll show you how to do that now that I'm on the subject. If you go to your field properties here and go to security, you can require data entry there. This is this is a pretty sharp tool, man, because once you do this, the end user, now you see it makes this kind of cool little box around the data value. What this means is that the end user won't be able to move off of the contact record. They're going to get this warning, and they're going to freak out. And not only are they going to call your phone on your desk, they're going to call my phone on my desk. I'm going to say, hey, what the hell is going on with this? So this is your typical end user saying, okay, I need to fill in something for student type, but maybe they're not a student. Maybe they're a custodial maintenance expert or something like that. Maybe there's no pick list item here that's appropriate for what should go in here. Well, what is an end user to do? They can't get off of the record, and the real danger here is that someone's on the phone with this guy right now, and they're desperately trying to get to a different record in GoldMine, and they can't because the field is required, but the data value that is appropriate isn't there. It's like this never-ending circle of hell kind of nightmare that goes on, and the end user can actually skip the required entry if they give a reason, but that requires a couple. Oh my God, and this lookup is blank too. You're screwed. You're dead in the water. You've just really ruffled the feathers of one of your end users. So I never see this work good in the field. I've seen people try it again and again and again because they think that, required data sounds good, right? We want that data. We want all the data. So we're going to require end users to put it in there. So just be careful. And I've digressed way too far on this subject. Let's go ahead and move right on to the default area code. The default, now I bring this up because when you put in a 7-digit, wrong screen, a 7-digit number here, it thinks you're in Colorado because that's where GoldMine used to come from. They used to come from California, and we heard stories about how they would go surfing on the beach every day. The programmers would, and we were like, ooh, how glamorous. And then they moved to Colorado, and I went there for training, and that was very nice. In the shadow of a mountain, sunset at 3 o'clock every day. Now they're owned by Avanti. I have no idea where they live. Maybe Venezuela somewhere. Who knows? But if we want to change our default area code, we're going to go into our tools options. These are our user options. This is stuff just for us. So if I go to tools options, I go to telephony, however you want to say it. I'm going to change my local area code right here. In this case, I'm in Seattle, so that's going to be 206. Land of milk and honey, you betcha. And now, if I need to restart my gold mines. Oh boy, that help index just never gets fixed, does it? Ta-da! Now, why this is modifiable on a per user basis is because you may have external salespeople, let's say, like on the road warriors. They still do that? Do people still go places nowadays? I don't know. I haven't left my house in a week. You can specify a different local area code for each one of your road warriors. It actually works pretty good. other stuff to play with here. You might not know unless you're an old man like me. This soft phone stuff, yeah, forget about it. Doesn't work. If you want to use any kind of phone integration with GoldMine, you're going to be looking towards using this left-hand side, this tappy line stuff. This soft phone stuff was like a huge GoldMine effort, say back in the day, so to speak, and it never really got off the ground. At any rate, I'm just trying to show you while I'm showing you things while we're here. There's other stuff to play with here. So if you want to integrate your phone with GoldMine, and all that really does for you is allow you to dial the phone from the contact record. I guess this is also a throwback to the days before phones had contacts in them. I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm so confused now. At any rate, if you want to integrate your phone, soft phone will cost you bazillions of dollars and not work well. Tappy lines work pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead. I feel a bonus round coming on. Do you feel a bonus round coming on? I certainly do. What does that say? Oh, syncing the search center. The word sync is thrown around quite a bit, especially in the GoldMine universe. So what I mean here is on the search center itself, when I'm in the search center, in this case I want to go ahead and search for a contact. Did you know you could use the % sign as a wild card, as an anything goes, as that crazy Joker man? My % sign will bring up anything in the database. You can also put letters around it. So in this case I want like all the B's. I can do all the B's. So I want Biff. I want Corey Babka. That sounds better. Okay, so now you'll notice here, or you'll notice rather, what's not happening is that as I single click, okay, so one step back, two steps forward, we're going to do the cha-cha. If I double click on the record itself, that's going to navigate me to the contact record on the back tab, as you might expect it to do. Now, what I like to do here is if I right click in my search center, I can select the sync contact. And all that does is that makes a little check, right? Turns it on or off. Now what this does for you is that this allows you to navigate through these records with a single click. So you can see here that my little guy back here is changing with just a single click. Now you're thinking to yourself, or you're probably muttering to yourself, Justin, that seems pretty dumb because I can't see that contact even though I single click it to activate it. Aha, 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 aha. What we can do, did you know we can do this? We can hit the little 4 square guy right there. And now we have what are actually called child windows. So if I'm looking for a contact in GoldMine, God, what a mess that is. And if I had a bigger monitor, it would probably work a lot better. But you get the idea, is that when I release my tabs using that little 4 square little tabby guy there, tabaroo, what I can do is I can actually single click on these records to navigate through them. And now once that sync contact is on, you can actually do the arrow up and down key as long as you're in the search center. The biggest reason I bring this up is because periodically you will uncheck that and you won't realize that you did, and it will, at least it did me. It took me forever to figure out what the hell was going on and why my contact wasn't navigating to the appropriate guy when I single clicked on them in the search center. So this is kind of why I'm showing you this. If it gets turned off or if it stops working that way, you can right click and make sure your sync contact is also enabled. Now, if we want to get back to the good old tab setup, we're going to just double click the top strip, or rather maximize any window. Could be that window, could be that window, or it could be that window. When I do that, I get my lovely tabs all the way back, and I can hide and or reveal my most recently used items. Did you guys know how to increase this here? Increase the number of people that show up in this list? This is actually kind of neat. If I go to Tools, Options, I think, and System, right here. You'll see that it defaults to 5 recent items shown. The max is 99, which is a pretty weird number for a computer to call maximum. I digress. But that's plenty. And that will help you take this list, and it will keep on growing and growing and growing and run all the way down the edge here. And that will become, in my humble opinion, more useful than 5 contact records. Bear with me just one moment, guys. Oh, I have several cats and a pollen count, which would blow your mind. Okay, now we have time for a bonus round. A bonus round. Let's see here. What could be good for a bonus round? Did you guys know how to modify your tabs down here? How to change? You'll notice here I only have 4 tabs showing, and they certainly don't seem to have GoldMine type words on there. So let me just show you very quickly in the time that we have left. How do I modify this tab strip and put those tabs back that I know are missing? This is easy enough to do. Under Tools, Options, all of that Tools, Options, that's a cool place to be, man. That's where Kooky hangs out. And I want to go to my Record tab and my Tabs button here. And from here, as you might imagine, I can turn tabs on and or off. And this is happening just for me. So most of the things in your Tools options are going to happen just for you. If you want to get brave, very brave, you can customize them globally for all of the users. It works. It works pretty well. I find that being able to modify your own tab strip is one of the things in GoldMine that really can energize the end user into actually wanting to use the software, wanting to put that data in there. So use at your own risk, I guess is what I would say. When I add some more tabs, I simply, thusly, and as follows, log back into GoldMine. Where did they go? Didn't they come back? Didn't I check those tabs? You saw me check those tabs, right? Aha. The second step. I don't know why they do this, but the second step to turning on a tab on or off is that if you don't see it, check your little guy here. Just check there. Who knows? Could be there, maybe not. Sometimes they show, sometimes they don't. At any rate, no, honest to goodness, guys, GoldMine is great. I just like to poke fun at the occasional foible here and there. So listen, that's going to exhaust our lovely, wonderful, spooky Halloween time for today. So please, if you would, I'm dying to know what you guys would like to see as the next set of GoldMine tips and tricks. Please feel free to reach out to me at justin@marksgroup.net. Thanks so much, and have a happy Halloween.